Hey everyone, I'm ShakoyahD and welcome to my bubble. This channel is for Black women who are on their self-love journey and are learning to take off their superwoman capes and learning to put themselves first. My bubble is my safe space to express myself as I inspire you to do the same. This is Love the Creative Black Woman, where we self-care through crafting and connect on our self-love journey together. So today I'm actually instead of doing flower pins, which I will probably do some more of those in a few of the episodes going forward, you will see those often. I do have this chalkboard paint that I am curious about because I have it and I bought like 3 bottles of it one time when I went to the store, and I don't fully know how to use it, how it works on different materials. I did do in my 30 days of self-care, I used it on a mason jar. So I got a chance to use it on glass, and I found out I needed a couple extra layers before I will be able to actually like write over top of it without it scratching. So what I want to do is, because I'm actually going to wind up redoing the jar that I did for that. That was to make my personal gift fun. So yeah, I'm just gonna figure out how to use this right now as we talk. So I asked 12 of the superwomen in my life a few questions, and now I am actually answering the questions to start off this series. Like I said previously, I did not have any intention of answering these questions, and I'm starting to realize how difficult they actually are. So today we are on question number 4. There are 7 questions. And the question is, do you place value on the act of self-care? And how often do you incorporate self-care in your life? Now, because I've been doing my 30 days of self-care, I kind of could, cheat a little bit and be like, yes, often. But I'm going to answer this question without having that piece of information. So before I decided to do 30 days of self-care. So to answer that question, honestly and completely, I do, and I have always placed, I don't want to say always. In my adult life, I have placed value on self-care. I feel like when I was younger, I didn't really think about self-care. I was outside playing, I was playing sports, I was doing whatever. So I didn't really think about self-care when I was younger, but as I became older and now that I'm an adult, I definitely place value on self-care. Like I said in the first episode, my self-love journey actually started a few years ago. I would say technically like around 2019, for real, around 2021, 2022. I guess it got kicked into overdrive. But it wasn't until then that I really started to understand the value of self-care and taking care of my mental health, or even what mental health like really looked like. And it's not that, so like I knew of the typical things of, you take a nap, or maybe you go get your nails done, you go get your hair done. But I didn't look at those things as self-care. I kind of just looked at them as just like regular people stuff. And in me learning more about self-care, I found out and realized how so many of the things that we do on our day-to-day lives actually connect to our mental and physical and emotional health. And how not doing those things can cause you to go into distress in whatever way that looks like for your body and for your mind. So for some people, it might be anxiety. For other people, it might be some type of like sickness or like dizziness or whatever. When I first started learning about self-care, then I started thinking, self-care is like the super high maintenance things, like you have to go to a spa, or you have to go whatever expensive thing there is. Like you gotta go all out. You gotta spend a bunch of money on yourself. You have to treat yourself in those types of materialistic ways. And I feel like I thought that meant self-care. And then of course like therapy, but I didn't really know much about therapy. I just knew I needed to go. Didn't know much past that, but I just knew that I needed to go. So as I started to learn more about it, and even now I'm still learning a lot more about it, because as the seasons in my life change, the type of self-care that I am looking to do changes as well. And now I'm starting to see that there are self-care opportunities in just about everything. And I have not started painting, so I don't know why I said we was crafting and I ain't start crafting yet. I ain't did nothing. Right now, I'm just using whatever, but this is a foam block that would be for, it's a floral foam. So normally you put flowers in it. I don't plan on using it. I've had it for years. So I'm just going to use it to test some things out, see how I can manipulate this material. So yeah, as I've gotten older and as the seasons in my life have changed, the acts of self-care for me have changed as well, which is actually very interesting, because even when I started rebranding and looking more into self-care, I didn't know that there was a National Self-Care Day. I didn't know that there was a National Self-Care Month, because don't nobody be mentioning that. I know it's like Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I know, Black History Month, Poetry Month, Autism Awareness Month, those types of things. But I think that although we talk heavy about self-care, we talk a lot about self-care in particular ways, but because we don't always, see the value in scheduling the self-care, that's the thing. We talk about it, but then when it comes down to, do I make time for it? It's always like, well, if I gotta, plan out my day and say what's important, usually my self-care falls to the back burner, because I have so many other things to do. And I recently found out when I was reading The Artist's Way that I am still a workaholic, is what I found out. And part of that is because I'm still learning to place value in the act of self-care and not just the idea. I feel like we place so much value in the idea. Even as Black women, like, the idea sounds so nice. It sounds so nice, but I got this other thing I need to do first. Like, before I schedule this day to do nothing, because that is also self-care, let me finish these 15 things I feel like I need to get done, or, I can't rest until this thing is done, or blah, blah, blah. And it's like, if you rest it, you might be able to get that thing done a lot quicker. That's what I'm learning, is that if I rest, I can probably get things done a lot quicker. And then that takes added stress off of your mind, off of your body, because I don't know if this is still true, but this is what I still believe in my head. Stress is the #1 killer in America. So if we all walking around here stressed out all the time because we're not taking no moment of just peace, let's call it that. You don't even gotta call it self-care, because some people be like, self-care is overrated, blah, blah, blah. But like, if you take a moment to yourself, if you carve out some me time, even if it's just like 5 minutes to just sit in silence, I had to learn that makes a huge difference. Because then when you don't do that, you start getting overwhelmed. And when you start getting overwhelmed, you start getting unproductive, or you start getting forgetful, or, all of these things have an effect on our mental health, or it also has, like I said, your physical health. Some people get sick. Like, some people be getting sick when they start stressing out with good reason. Like, you're putting strain and stress on your mind and on your body. Like, everything is connected. So going back to the question, do I value self-care? I value self-care now. I didn't always value self-care. I think that the idea of self-care is typically tied heavily to the idea of being pampered. And the thing about the idea of being pampered, a lot of times people feel like they can't either afford that or they don't have time to pamper themselves. And I'm one of those people. Let me change the verbiage. I was one of those people because I'm working on it. So that's one of the reasons why I did the 30 Days of Self-Care Challenge, because I was like, you know what? It's a lot going on right now. And I want to be intentional about actually showing up for myself every day. Even if it's the smallest way. Like some of these vlogs are like 5 minutes, but it's like I did something for me. I bought myself flowers, and it's not saying that you gotta buy the fanciest bouquet, because that is also like, people think, oh, I have to get the most expensive thing if it's gonna be self-care, and you don't. Or I have to get everything all at once if it's gonna be self-care, and you don't have to do that either. You can just get the thing, like you can get one piece of clothing at a time or one pair of shoes at a time. You could, all right, maybe you don't go have an entire spa day, but you decide to do a facial. You decide to go out and get a facial, or you decide to stay at home and just put on a face mask. Whether you bought one or you made one, like you just decide to do something for you. I feel like it's often overlooked because it's not what we see online. Because what we see online most times is whatever the flashiest version of self-care is, or whatever the most luxurious version of self-care is. And self-care literally can be super simple. So yeah, I place value on it now. I think that everybody should. I think that it's a part of normalizing taking time for yourself. Like the self-care could be listening to some music that you've waited to listen to, that you've been wanting to listen to, but you haven't had a moment. And I think a lot of it all comes down to really just making the time. If you look at it like this, some of y'all might not want to follow me on this, but I don't care. We're gonna go here. Time is literally a construct, okay? So since time is a construct, that means that you are not bound by time in the way that we were taught. You can create the time to do the things that you want to do. You just have to believe that you can have that time. If you automatically dismiss it and say, oh, I don't have time for that, then you won't have time for that. God is going to be like, yeah, you don't. But if you say, I have 5 minutes to read a book, I have 5 minutes to meditate, I have 5 minutes to stretch, everything's going to move. And they're going to be like, yes, there is 5 minutes for you to do this. There's 10 minutes for you to do this. And then as you make a habit of it, you'll start knowing how to structure your schedule around having some me time. And like I said, this is something that I am still working on, because even in creating a schedule every week for my 12-week year and blah, 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 I still be forgetting to schedule that self-care. That self-care, it don't be on there. And then the end of the week come and I be exhausted and I'm trying to figure out why I'm so tired. And it's because, first of all, you skipped every nap that was on your schedule. And then second of all, you didn't schedule any self-care time. You didn't schedule any time to focus on you. And you're trying to figure out why you're so tired. Yes, I do that all the time. So this, going forward, I am working on incorporating it into my schedule more, whether it be one thing a day, like I did with the 30-day of self-care challenge, or it might be one thing a week. Like today I did a solo date, and that was my first solo date, like my first time intentionally being like, I'm going to take myself out on a date. And I just took myself to the movies. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was looking up stuff. I was like, am I going to go to a coffee shop? Am I going to go to a museum? What are things that I want to do that I don't feel like somebody else would enjoy? This sounds terrible. Sometimes I hold off on doing things with just me because I know somebody else is going to enjoy it. And I'm like, oh, I could do this with them. So then I don't want to spoil the experience by me going and doing it by myself and then going with them, so I just don't do it. That sounds wild now that I'm saying that out loud. I probably shouldn't do that. So like I said, I'm actually working on this for real, because it's so interesting. I never said that out loud, so now I'm just like, wow. Because I could always just do the thing again, and it's still going to be a new experience, because no two moments are the same, but also somebody else is going to be with you. So it's just going to be a different experience in general. So I decided not to go to the museum because I was like, oh, Damani might like this museum. And I could have just went to the museum, but I went to the movie instead. But even before I went to the movie, I called him. I was like, you wouldn't want to see this movie, right? And he hadn't heard of it. So I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to go. And if it's good, we can just go together, or we can just watch it when it comes out on streaming platforms. The movie that I went to go see was The American Society of Magical Negroes. It was a good movie. I was late, but y'all, if you watch my vlog, you'll understand. I'll explain why I was late, but that's not the point. The point of this moment is the fact that why am I thinking about other people enjoying an event that I'm trying to go to for myself? Like, it's for my self-care, and I'm like, nah, because they would have fun at this. But then it's like, I don't even know when we would get a chance to go, because at that point you got to coordinate your schedule with other people, and I could have already went. So I literally am delaying my self-care so that somebody else can get the experience. And that's not always I was gonna say that's not always a bad thing, but it just sound bad. It just sound bad. I don't know how to flip that, y'all. I don't know how to flip that. I just had a revelation, if y'all didn't notice, and I'm gonna need some time to process this one. This is why I wasn't planning on answering these daggone questions, because nobody told me it was gonna be like this. All right, I think what needs to happen now is, going forward, if I decide I want to do something for self-care, I can ask the person if they would like to come with me, but I don't delay my self-care because either I think they would want to go but never find out if they would want to go, or I think there has to be some level of balance, because you do still want to enjoy the things with the people that you love, but it's also like you want to make sure that you are still taking care of yourself. This was a toughie. This how y'all felt when y'all was answering this question? Oh, child, I need y'all to let me know in the comments if I'm the only person that thinks like this, because, I need to talk to my therapist about this one. I have been delaying my self-care, or even just my enjoyment. I've been delaying it simply because I'm like, they would like this. And it's not even like I'm planning the event for them to come. I'm planning it for me. I'm planning it for me. I should think like, okay, do I want to do this thing first? And do I want to do this with someone else, or do I want to do this by myself? Is there something that I should do by myself? Because depending on, that's wild. Depending on who it is, they might not want to go. Even though you think that it would be a great event and they would enjoy it, they still might not want to go. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't go. And I guess that's all a part of actually honoring yourself and learning to put yourself first. Erical said, yes, that's how I felt answering these questions. But honestly, I didn't realize that I was even doing that until this moment. But like I was saying, I think it's a part of honoring yourself and showing yourself the respect that you deserve, because you should get first choice on where you want to go, whether it's with someone or not. And I realized that I haven't been doing that. Why wasn't I going to answer the questions? First of all, shout out to the good people of the gray area. If you would like to be a part of this conversation, watch this podcast live, make sure you join our Patreon. The link is in the description below. So the question is, why wasn't I going to answer the questions? I didn't think I needed to, if I'm being perfectly honest, because when I was making them, I had me in mind, but I didn't have me in mind, if that makes sense. So my thought was, I'm gonna ask these people these questions because this is who I would like to speak to. This is who I want to reach in my content, and even with my music and everything. And I was like, well, you constantly hear so many things of like, you're not your audience, you're not your audience, you're not your audience. But like, I am my audience. So like, I was making the questions in the context of I'm not my target audience. So I didn't think of answering the questions. And I was just like, oh, these are just questions that popped into my head that I think would be good. And they kind of pertain to me, but I'm like, you know, when you asking a question, you don't think about your opinion, or your experience. Well, sometimes you think about your experience because it's built off of your experience. So I think that in its entirety, I was like, let me understand how other people think. I didn't realize the questions that I was asking were so deep, but they were also questions that I needed to ask myself. Even after everyone responded and some people were like, oh, this is a lot. This is a lot. I was like, oh, I'm thinking these questions, these are just like surface level questions. No, these are questions. And I didn't know that. So, thank you for answering the questions. But that's also why I decided to answer the questions, because I was like, okay, maybe there's something here. And also, I didn't want you guys being vulnerable with me and me not being vulnerable with you. So now I'm answering the questions. But I think I might have to revisit this one at some point. But now, like I was saying, just going back to the original topic, I do now place a lot of value on self-care. In the past, I didn't. And I'm working to incorporate it into my schedule more. And now that I know that it's not just a thing of I'm not making time for it, but also I'm so busy thinking of what other people will enjoy that I'm not taking action on it. It's wild. Cause even when I was gonna do my spa day, and my hair care day for the 30 days of self-care challenge, and I'll link the checklist below on this video as well in case you guys want to download it. It's a free checklist. But I was going to do a hair care day. That was a part of the 30 days of self-care. And I was like, oh, I can make it a full-blown day and I can do my hair and Damani's hair because he's never had a hot oil treatment and blah, blah. This supposed to be about me. So then I was trying to coordinate with his schedule and be like, okay, we'll do it on Saturday, you know, but then you're about to get a haircut, so maybe we should do it after your haircut. Listen, so I just, at a certain point, I had to just tell myself, like, this 30 days of self-care is about you showing up for you first. So go ahead and do the hair care day because, first of all, you need to do your hair, okay? It's time to wash it. And second of all, this journey is about you. You need to show up for you. You enjoy doing your hair. You don't have to volunteer to do a whole big day, knowing good and well you gotta record all of this, you gotta edit it, you gotta possibly do a voiceover, you gotta get all the footage. It's just a lot. So just show up for yourself. And they showing up for themselves, so show up for yourself. Oh, child. Yeah, I'm gonna have to give y'all an update in probably like a month to tell y'all if I've been incorporating the self-care in my life like I said I was. Like I said I was supposed to, because who child is looking a little sparse out here for the self-care. But the self-care challenge actually did open my eyes to like really show me like, oh, I need to start taking better care of myself, because I could be doing little things to just boost my mood or just even like make sure my skin glowing, you know, just make sure I'm good, make sure I look good, I feel good, all of those things. I just gotta make the decision. So in conclusion, dear Black woman, take care of yourself. It doesn't have to be all glitz and glamour when it comes to you doing it. It could be as simple as you taking a nap, going for a walk for 5 minutes, sitting outside, just something that you really enjoy but you often overlook. It could be crocheting, knitting. I said I'm testing out this paint. I'm literally just painting this canvas black right now. And I'm gonna do something with it later. But something simple like that is all that you need. It doesn't have to be a lot, but it has to be for you. And also, do not delay your self-care or your self-love because you're waiting on other people. This journey and this time is for you. It's for you and only you. And you can talk to other people about it. You can inspire other people to also take their own journey, but you also have to step forward and be there for yourself first. Love, the Creative Black Woman.